the skies, and chill was the wind as the land was covered in a veil of malice. Across the hill did ride a dread army of the night, cloaked in mist and fog, prepared to rain down death and destruction upon the land. And the people did cry out for a saviour, a noble soul to save them from their impending demise. Just as it seemed all was lost, in strode a mighty hero, clad in shivering metal from head to toe. Wielding a terrible broadsword, he did cleave his foes in two, smashing their ranks asunder with righteous fury. And when the day was done and the enemy strewn across the fields in pieces, the people did turn to the warrior and say, "We shall name this day in your honor. Speak unto us your wisdom." The warrior said one word that day: epic.
One man, one Murloc, one giant angry badger. This is Blue Please. It begins now. Yes, indeed, folks, you're tuned into Blue Please here on WoW Radio with myself, Total Biscuit. Welcome to the show, and welcome to all those new listeners who've tuned into us tonight for one thing and one thing alone. One exclusive method interview coming up just a little bit later on in the show. 65 glorious minutes of Sco and Rei and their opinions on pretty much everything. Any questions that you might have had to have answered, well, you had a week to post them in our thread on the forum, and they did tackle very many of them indeed. All the drama, all the secrets, everything, it's all there, and it's coming up just after this 15-minute speech segment in which I speak about WoW, not entirely surprisingly. Right, so what we generally do in Blue Please is we will start and end each show with a feature that we like to call Second Wind, yes, it allows for continuity between the two shows. I will ask a question at the end of my show, give you guys a week or so to respond, and then I shall read out your answers and we shall discuss the topic further and see if it's progressed. Now, last week, one of the hot topics, of course, was the PTR, Public Test Realm, which is for testing publicly, one would imagine. And we asked the question, what on earth is it there for in the first place, and is it remotely useful in any way, shape, or form? And I had many, many answers, as I do every week on this Blue Please. Right, let's see what we got. Many second wins. Now, I want to read one from Endra here, who says this. This is regarding fixing the PTR, so obviously somebody believing the PTR is not working as intended. Is the PTR being used to its potential? I could say without a doubt that it is not. It's been pretty clear from the major bugs in raids and just in the game world itself that improvements could be made to the testing system. First of all, what do the majority of the people do when they actually go to the PTR? I can only speak from my own experience, but out of maybe 5 trips to the PTR, I've only once actually tested a change. The rest of the times were either to try new talent builds without worry about wasting gold, or to see item buffs and nerfs that directly pertain to my class. I do know that when we were able to choose pre-made characters, dueling was quite popular, but this too doesn't help catch bugs. As such, one change I would like to make would be to flat out disable dueling on the PTR. Next, I would offer a small incentive for those who are actually testing content. Why not add in a few player titles that Blizzard has promised we would see more of in the Burning Crusade? Devising a system that will give the character you copied from on your home server a title such as Raid Dungeon Tester if you manage to complete the raid being released that patch. For example, this patch being completing Black Temple or even Hayal 2, I guess. This could be applied to solo content as well if you reach one of the milestones for that particular area. One change that Blizzard already made that I do agree with were the gear vendors that gave testers tier 5 level equipment, but only if they were honoured with the Violet Eye. I'd suggest that they keep this system for future patches, since it allows those who may not be in the absolute best skills to test as well, but obviously they do need to have done some Karazhan a few times in order to earn that latest gear. So, that's a fair point. Basically, he's saying that he doesn't want people going around and pouncing around in tier 5 gear for the sake of it rather than testing. The last change that I would like to see, this is what he says, is a required non-disclosure agreement, NDA, in order to even be on the PTRs in the first place. I would keep it similar to the agreements used for beta testing new games. After all, you are beta testing if you're on the PTR in the first place. Posting videos, screenshots, etc. of the new content would be prohibited, which would hopefully cut down the number of spoilers. In my opinion, these would be great first steps to improve the public test realm and give us patches with fewer less bugs. Yeah, I'd say that there is some validity to some of the things that's being said there. Offering an incentive for testing content is probably one of the best ideas I've ever heard. Right now, you have your high-end raiding guilds that are going in there. Nihilum, for example, are banging on as regards to Black Temple at the moment. And I've already seen Impervious have taken down the majority of the bosses, as have Curse, if I remember correctly, in Mount Hiar. Now the question is why? You can be cynical or you can be less cynical, but cynicism has to remain. The more cynical way of looking at things is that higher-end guilds are trying this content in order to get a leg up on everyone else, so that when they do it live, they will be able to breeze through it and get onto the bigger, tougher challenges quicker. Now, that would be a valid point, of course, if, and I'm saying if everyone didn't have access to it. If they were the only ones getting access to this content, then yeah, I could support that particular viewpoint. It's not to say that they're not anyway, but it's not that it's an advantage that high-end guilds actually have that other guilds don't. Let's face it. It's there if you're good enough to do it. If you're not good enough to do it, well, that's not actually anything to do with the fact that, oh, OMG, there is exploits and unfairness. That's simply due to the fact that you're not good enough. And that is a basic fact of life. You should go and improve. It's really that simple. Now, the less cynical way, of course, is that they are, in fact, beta testing and shaking down the content. Now, we have seen that GMs do actively look at the progress on PTRs, and they will death touch bosses, and they will also death touch trash to allow people to test other bosses. Now, that's fine. That is fine. Except for the fact that if you're not 100%ing to 0%ing a boss, then you can't really be said to have killed the boss and tested it thoroughly for bugs. We've already seen, with Lady Vashj as a prime example, several rather nasty bugs. Nihilum had a hit point loss. Method had bugged out fear wards and also had the bats not despawn at the end of the encounter. Now that's very interesting. Now what does that say to you? What that should be saying to you, one would imagine, is that had that been tested 100% to 0%, those bugs would have occurred. Fear ward is, of course, your natural reaction if you're Alliance to something that pulses fear. There are Striders in that encounter which pulse fear, so you would have thought, okay, let's dump Fear Ward. Oh look, Fear Ward isn't disappearing. Yeah, that needs fixing. Obviously that wasn't done, otherwise such a glaring bug, which is obviously repeatable, would have been caught. A hit point loss? Well, we're not entirely sure what actually caused that. We think it's some kind of evade. Or at least that's what I'm hearing from Nihilum. If Nihilum would like to put me right on that, then by all means, email themurloc@gmail.com or contact me on IRC. However, again, yet another bug with that. And the fact that the Spore Bats didn't despawn. Have a look at Nihilum's kill. When Nihilum killed it, that wasn't the case. Vashj died immediately, but spawned a second Vashj. Now, you can't seriously tell me that with all of those bugs, you could have possibly missed those in internal testing on PTR. And that is, in itself, a major issue. It's a problem. Definitely. 110%. That is a big bloody issue. And certainly I would say that something has to be done about it. Now, I've got a few more emails to cover before we kick on with the interview today, so let's get on with it. Mr. David Tucker, also known as Bishdark from Masrigo EU. And he asked where the hell my grilling tour video is. Coming later. I'm of the same opinion as TB is on this. I don't want to know what lies in endgame content before it's live. I have only ever been on one PTR, and that was to test the new and shiny Palaret spec. I mainly PvP'd, did some basic instances like Onyxia, but I didn't want to see anything beyond my live progress. In fact, I can't see why people would want to put the work in to do so. It's not like your live character gets any benefit at all. The only benefit you gain is knowing the encounter before you do it on live. But again, that kills the suspense. One of the main factors of our guild's success is learning encounters for ourselves, and I find that brings far more satisfaction than finally downing a boss. When finally downing a boss, even. Now, I would agree on that, but I think there's not enough emphasis being put on the idea of knowing what's going to happen in the encounter, and knowing is half the battle, because knowledge is power, rah rah rah. that is a really major factor. There is very few advantages that you could consider to be any more significant than that. That's a lot of gain you can get out of that particular thing. Now, you cannot underestimate the value of that, and you cannot underestimate the fact that high-end guilds are going to go and do that. Now, I do still have issues with that. The problem with PTR right now is even if you had NDAs, like was suggested previously, even if you restricted all this content, it's still going to get leaked. It's going to be all over the place. And some people don't want to see it, and it is quite difficult to avoid. This is the kind of issue that's come up with in the past with kill videos, though kill videos are generally named as such. You don't have people going around spamming tactics on the forums. You don't go around and have pictures all over the place like, hey, look, this is stuff you haven't got to yet. Well, it ruins the suspense, ruins the surprise. Some people do have an issue with that. I have a minor issue with that. While it was cool to see a screenshot of Archimon, it's like, ooh, that is really, really nice looking. And seeing the kill videos of Supremus and some of the other Black Temple bosses, some of the previews of that, and even the Kael'thas preview stuff, that was all cool. That was nice. It's really a very delicate balancing act. Some people are going to want to see that, some people aren't, and sometimes it's quite difficult to avoid it because it will get all over the forums and you don't really have a choice but to have it thrust in your face. Now, let's see what else we got. That's a long one. Here we go. This is from Thurin. He's from Argentona EU, and he says this: personally, I steer clear of the PTR since I don't think there is any point in getting new content if by the time it's released it is no longer new since you've already seen it all. However, I do believe that it is important to test new content even though Blizzard isn't always as adept at reacting to the feedback. As an example, the Burning Crusade beta looked a lot different from the final version. Though at release there were still bugs, it is nothing compared to what the beta was like. Likewise, a lot of balance and ability issues were pointed out were in fact fixed following test feedback likewise on the PTRs. Past history has shown that releasing content which hasn't been tested beforehand properly turns into rather a mess, and consequently, we often see that the boss fights that are fixed afterwards are the ones which they didn't get to test during the PTR period. Yeah, it's always interesting to see, actually. If you remember back in Blackwing Lair did not go in the PTR, and if I remember correctly, the first two bosses were actually unkillable. They were bugged out. Completely, totally messed up. And that is a bit of an issue. And he continues, of course, it also depends on the testers. For example, feedback like the one Curse wrote on Hayal helps the developers a lot, and you can check that out on Curse Skills forums. The kind of people that just think, lols, we get to try patch before you noobs don't really help. And I know some people have such a view of the PTRs. In some cases, certain people I know. So, the PTRs are very important for making sure we don't have to beta test the content once it's live, because no one ever saw if what they had actually made worked. But it's just as reliant on the testers doing their jobs properly and providing good constructive feedback and the devs actually reacting on the feedback. It's always interesting to look at stuff like that because that pretty much sums up my idea about beta testing in general. There's been something of a surge in how many public betas, open betas, are available recently in PC gaming in general. Now, that's interesting to see because a lot of people will argue, well, the vast majority of people who are coming here are not doing it to beta test. They're doing it to screw around in a game which isn't available yet. We had the same problem when I was beta testing Dawn of War. During the closed beta, we got a lot of changes done. We got a lot of good balancing, even UI changes. All of this really good stuff was dealt with. And then as soon as they opened the beta, it became 99% tards. Which is fine, because obviously, you know, infinite number of monkeys, infinite number of typewriters is going to produce Shakespeare. So if you throw enough people at the problem, no matter how stupid they might be, you can hope that one or two are going to pull up some valid information. You can also bear in mind the idea of stress testing servers and shaking down content. The more people you get doing it, the larger a probability there is that someone is going to find something wrong. The question is, are they going to report it in such a fashion which is helpful? Are they going to give a constructive fix? Are they going to feedback the information at all, or are they going to exploit it for all they're worth? I seem to recall back in Dawn of War that there were certain problems as regards to balance, and what generally happened was, when someone found an imbalanced thing, they did not actually report it, they just exploited it to get free wins. It was all an E-peen thing, which was kind of disturbing. So what can we conclude? Can this be fixed? The one thing you can also bear in mind about the PTRs and open beta testing in general is that it can be something of a marketing tool, and that makes the idea of fixing it and making it a very productive area very, very difficult. When Blizzard look at money, they think, alright, okay, here's something that we can use to keep people playing the game by showing them what's coming up next. It's a teaser for the content. It's all there, you can go and try it out, now please continue paying for the game. There's nothing really invalid about that as such, but it does seem to me that the overall purpose of the public test realm is certainly blurred. Very, very much so. And that's harmful. You're not going to get an awful lot out of that. When bugs still remain on encounters like Vashj, when bugs still remain on Kael'thas, on the fact that Hial wasn't even done, stuff like that, then you've got to really look very, very carefully at how people are testing and whether or not Blizzard actually needs to direct people in the idea of testing certain things. Whether they simply need to bring people on, Uber guilds, if need be, that are willing to test the content for them, and rather than just doss around. Is there a fix? It's very difficult to say. Arguably, the idea of the PTR simply just cannot be fixed. It's too far gone. It's this whole idea of the commercialized open beta. The idea of, again, keeping your consumers chomping at the bit for content. Nothing necessarily wrong with that. But if you're really going to test your content, that is certainly not the arena to do it in. Now, this is what you've been waiting for, hopefully all evening, so I'm going to play it for you right now. This interview was recorded yesterday. It was with Sco, main tank and guildmaster of Method, and of course Rei as well, healing lead for Method, and they are the world's second Vashj killers, and they're addressing all sorts of issues. This interview is just over an hour long, so sit back, relax and enjoy, courtesy of WoW Radio Method. This is their exclusive interview. Enjoy. The following is an exclusive interview for WCRadio.com. The opinions contained within this are those of the interview subjects and do not necessarily represent the opinions and views of the WoW Radio team and management. You're listening to Blue Please here on WoW Radio with myself, Total Biscuit, and this is the one and only Method interview exclusive to WCRadio.com. Method, if you don't already know, and by God you should, if you ever listen to this show or pay any attention to anything endgame, World's second Vashj killers and Alliance first Vashj killers, in fact, as well. And today in the studio we have Sco and Rei, who I would quite like to introduce themselves. Who are you, what are you doing here, and what is your role in the guild?
I'm Sco, Guildmaster Method, play warrior, main tank. I can tell you anything about the guild, Lady Vashj, so on.
Hey, my name is Rei. I play Priest. I'm an officer of Method, and I do all the healing assignments and the healing tactics and all that stuff. So, yeah,
cool,
good to be here.
Very cool. Yeah, so the first question that the listeners are no doubt going to be asking, and this must have been rolling through their heads ever since this actually happened, is what possessed you to throw yourself up against the buggiest, most ridiculous encounter that World of Warcraft has ever seen?
Well, it was a challenge, and we like challenges, so that's what possessed us, I guess.
And I say, it didn't put you off at all that Nihilum decided not to attempt her again and just moved on straight to Tempest Keep?
Not really, because by the stage that Nihilum said she was not possible to kill, the numbers just don't add up. We believed that we could actually kill her at that moment.
Yeah, and also, quite a lot of the bosses at that time, they were all said to be pretty unkillable. I mean, they said Alar, the numbers just don't add up, and Vashj is unkillable unless they're HP bugs, so, you know, we just decided to go for Vashj. You know, it's better loot, you know, more AP and sort of thing, so, yeah, Vashj seemed like a pretty good choice at the time.
That's understandable. So, how long exactly did it take you from your first attempt on Vashj to actually killing her? What kind of time frame we're looking at here?
We're talking about weeks, if not almost a month, of attempting Vashj on and off. That and a combination of DK bosses. I mean, we did attempt a lot, and yeah, just a lot, a few times. Also, Vashj was a lot more of a fun encounter. So yeah, we did attempt her, normally for 2-hour raids, flasked and buffed for quite several weeks. That's
quite unusual by the sounds of things. You know, most raiding guilds would toss themselves up against an encounter for hour upon hour upon hour on end every single day. I've heard that Nick have cracked up against bosses for 8-9 hours straight. Why the sudden change in angle?
Well, it was a balance between not wanting to burn people out on the boss and keeping them interested in the fight, I guess.
Yeah, you have to understand that. Yeah, you have to understand that on Vashj, you've got to pot basically from the start, or you're just not going to get anywhere. Every phase has to be almost, everyone has to focus 100% and be buffed to the max, or else you're just not going to see the end phases. So, you just really got to get going on that encounter and just start practicing full out. So, reason for only doing 2 hours is, if you do 9-hour raids, people are going to run out of consumables, and, you can't really expect them to farm that for the next day. So, you just keep it sane.
Yeah, slow and steady wins the race.
Slow and steady wins the race, indeed.
Yeah, that's definitely a very forward-thinking way of actually doing things. Is this something that you as a guild have done ever since you started raiding, or is this something that the Burning Crusade has kind of pushed you towards with the over-reliance on consumables?
Well, we've always raided 7 days a week, normally around 5-hour raids every day, so I suppose it was actually a bit more even casual on when we were attempting Vashj than usual. I mean, most other weeks we would be raiding 5 hours every night.
But also because of the consumables, you can't go for 5 hours with all the consumables you use in Burning Crusade. So maybe it was a bit of the Burning Crusade pushing us towards that from the consumable side. But yeah, just not wanting to burn out, and just I suppose the over-reliance on consumables really made us think twice about how long we really spent on Vashj. I mean, sometimes if it was going well, we did 4 hours, like reflast, and got more consumables and so on. But usually it was just 2 hours per night. So.
And at what point did you believe, during your attempts, that you were reaching a breakthrough point, or was it always an issue of thinking, yep, she's killable, we're going to kill her, let's go for it next try, or were you just bashing yourselves up against the wall and trying to take her a piece at a time, brick by brick?
Well, you've always got to think positive when attempting these new encounters, or, you're not going to have the motivation to carry on. So, from the start, I always believed we could kill her, and tried to motivate people to share the same mindset.
Yeah, there was a couple of times just when we reached the new phases. I remember at one point when we really, because you spend quite a lot of time on phase 2 as well, and there was this one point where we just got phase 2 perfect, and we got into phase 3, and then we were like, right, this is killable. And then of course you reach phase 3 and you realize, this is just as insanely hard as it was in phase 2 for phase 3. So, and then when we got the world buffs on, the Saturday night, and they got her to 5%, that was kind of like, yeah, this is definitely killable.
I suppose it was just about mastering the stages, yeah, step by step. Mastering phase 1. Phase 1 is very simple. I thought it took us, sadly, quite a long time to realise that Grinding Totem worked on the shock. We only actually realised that after about 2 weeks of attempting, though. That's the standard of the shamans we've got in the guild.
Oh dear.
Shamans being new to Alliance and all.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that actually. Just how many shamans do you run with, and how useful have you found them as regards to integrating them into a now slimmed down, trim and lean 25-man raid setup?
It's easier to integrate shamans, I would say, than it would be for Horde to integrate paladins, since you really want to have 3 paladins in the raid, if not 4, being the best healers and offering the blessings. We use 2 shamans normally in raids, so integrating 2, I suppose, wasn't as difficult. Heroism, yeah, nice buff. Totems, yeah, always nice as well.
And they're both resto-spec shamans, so we don't use off-spec shamans at the moment, so...
Well, yeah, in general we don't use off-spec shamans, but on certain encounters we have, yeah. On Vashj, we had 3 shamans in the raid. One was Elemental, which was a bit of a change.
And what use did you find for an Elemental shaman in the raid, exactly?
Well, on the first attempt on Thursday, we got him to, we got Vashj to 5%. We had 3 shamans in the raid anyway, all resto, so the 5% was after the 4-minute enrage time in phase 3, which is the mass bat spawns. So we tried to get rid of some healing to get more DPS in, so we decided to get a shaman to respec Elemental. That was pretty much it. We didn't want to replace a shaman at the time. There was not much DPS available online, and didn't really want to lose the heroism from that shaman, so decided just to get him to respec DPS, lose the healing from him.
So it's more of what you had available at the time, rather than a specific choice as regards to your raid makeup?
Well, we haven't attempted Vashj again this reset, but if we were, then I'd like a third shaman in the raid again, rather than a multi-cast.
The heroism really helps.
Yeah, the heroism really makes up for the
large increase in DPS.
Yeah, the slight loss you get from taking the third shaman. I mean, because it's at phase 3, you need the heroism really to get the nuke going.
Because for 4 minutes for 50%, it's pretty tight. So the 3 heroisms on 3 groups is just really useful and takes the strain off.
No kidding. So phase 3, let's try and get a kind of breakdown of how the fight works. Phase 3, if I remember correctly, is that where the spore bats come and start bobbing the living crap out of the raid, and you have, what, 4 minutes before she enrages and wipes you?
The spore bats come one by one to start with, and we had a hunter and a warlock assigned to taking them down so they didn't bomb the raid or gather up too many, because then you run into real trouble. It's after the 4 minutes she doesn't actually enrage, just mass bats spawn from above,
it's like 1 a second,
and rain down on the raid.
Nothing actually happens to Lady Vashj, it's just the amount of bats spawn is about 1 a second, so you've got all these bats and they just rain poison down on top of you, and then if you're not about to kill her soon, you're not going to kill her.
Yeah, unless you're around 5% or below at 4 minutes, then you're going to wipe, no question about that.
Just about like every encounter in the Burning Crusade, it's kill her before she kills you. So that's pretty much the philosophy behind Vashj, and especially in phase 3.
In phase 3, yeah, it's all about nuke.
Yeah, that definitely does seem to be something that they probably introduced, to be fair, around Anchorage 40 era, and have continued to push the whole idea of once you hit the last phase, you are on a timer before she will or he will completely and totally destroy your raid.
Well, it seems to be in Burning Crusade, almost everything has an enraged timer now. I'm not quite sure, can't really remember that much in Nax. Some bosses had enraged timers, some didn't, but just about in Burning Crusade, just about every boss has an enraged timer. I mean, just as soon as you start, I mean, Gruul's got, well, not an enraged, but so many, growths that he starts one-shotting main tanks and stuff, so I suppose it's just trying to get the DPS to, focus as much as, be more important or whatever. Just trying to bring that aspect into more important.
At the same time, though, there's no question about it that that's needed on all the boss encounters that it is included on.
Why is that exactly?
Well, the survivability of the raid, due to the higher HP on everyone, is much better than it was previously, I would believe. And with no enrage timers, you could just take it slow and steady again, and then the boss is no problem.
Fair enough. And do you think this is a good raid mechanic? Is this something that's allowing you to enjoy raid encounters more, or is it just simply frustrating?
In a way, it can make things more exciting, I guess. A bit more fast-paced. On the majority, I would say it's more enjoyable.
Yeah, probably a bit more enjoyable, yeah. It doesn't really make that much of a difference. I mean, if you're going to kill the boss within 5 minutes anyway, it's once you kill it once, the enraged timer is not really a problem again, really, unless the raid goes horribly wrong. So, it's there for learning, and then once you've done it once, it's normally quite easy to achieve again without the boss enraging. So
yeah, it becomes a non-factor. Well, as regards to this kill, definitely congratulations. There was an awful lot of drama surrounding it on various particular issues. It's difficult to know where to start with it. But let's have a look first at what actually happened after you killed Lady Vashj. Just for those who don't know, do you want to fill us in on what happened when Vashj hit 0%?
The bats from phase 3, after the 4-minute enraging inverted commas, they failed to despawn, so the 7 or 8 people alive, when she actually died, were nuked down like 1 to 3 seconds or so. After they were dead, the bats failed to despawn, and upon entering the instance again, you were nuked from the Vashj spot to the entrance. You just couldn't get anywhere near the corpse. That was ultless, and not taking GMs or death touching, but yeah.
So, did you make an effort to actually get to the corpse? I heard something about fire resistance gear.
Yeah, there was quite a lot of effort to get to the corpse. I mean, they were trying. The majority was trying for at least the 30 minutes it took for the corpse to despawn. Well, originally it was it was just insane trying to get to the corpse to start with. As soon as you entered the instance, you were pretty much dead. Yeah, you just can't pass the elevators. While waiting on the elevator, you just can get standing poisoning clouds, so on. And you take initial damage as well as the damage on the ground. I mean, when they hit you, you take around 3k damage, fire damage, which wasn't actually resistible with the fire res gear. So that didn't go down too well.
Well, to follow that up then, what actually happened when you contacted the GM? How long did it take for the GM to get back to you?
Initially, I didn't contact the GM personally because I switched over raid leader to another person during the encounter, so you could switch a shaman to the melee group for heroism. But so he initially contacted the GM as the raid leader, and the response was it was after the corpse despawned at least, so it must have been about, the first response must have been about an hour or so after the kill, I guess.
Yeah, and from what we've seen, at least from the screenshots, everything didn't really go to plan, did it?
No, it didn't. It was a bit of a disaster, yeah.
Right, and why exactly was that? What kind of response did he get?
Well, as you can see from the screens, they were pretty useless and pretty clueless about what the problem was as well. I mean, does this happen often? The famous quote now.
Yeah, that's pretty surprising. They don't even know about stuff like that, you know. You'd think they'd be a little more interested in what was happening around them.
I mean, it's worse than the Indian call centers that they'll hire. It's a total joke, to be honest.
I mean, this isn't hardly the first time this has happened, has it? We remember a famous quote, I think Fura let us know about something from Curse a while ago. Did your hunter's pet sell an Nefarian?
Yeah, I've seen that as well, yeah. Same story, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know what the specifications for being a GM is, but you'd think they show some interest in what's happening in the community and be a little bit more knowledgeable about what's going on in the community and like who's downing what and what's possible and so on. So I don't know what they're playing at.
What kind of ratio would you attribute blame to exactly? Do you believe it's the GM's sole responsibility to have the possession of that information, or is it perhaps the way that Blizzard structure their GM service? Are they not giving them the information they need, or prioritising, you know, groups of GMs to particular issues or areas?
Well, at least in my opinion, I would expect GMs to be people who are quite enthusiastic about the game, or else why would they want to be a GM, to be honest? In a way, I would say it's part of the GM's fault for not knowing about Vashj. I mean, but in a way, yeah, it's Blizzard's as well. The policy they've got for GMs.
The GM's the one you're interfacing with, so you can't really blame him. I mean, maybe he doesn't have all the information on what he cannot do. I mean, it's just like anything. Just like a waitress. I mean, if you're in a restaurant and your food's bad, I mean, you shout at the waitress. I mean, maybe, but it's not actually her fault. So it might be the kind of same situation with the GM. He didn't really know what to do. I mean, you know, it hasn't happened a lot, especially with that boss. So, you know, maybe he didn't have all the information. Maybe he was desperately trying to find out what. And I mean, we all know how long it takes for GMs to actually reply. I mean, they seem to spell check every word or whatever they do. So maybe he was doing his best to find out, but just couldn't. But you just never know.
After receiving multiple tickets about the same issue from quite a lot of people in the raid, you'd expect them to send someone to speak to us who at least has some kind of knowledge about the encounter or how to resolve the situation. I mean, sending multiple GMs to us who could do nothing and didn't really have a clue about what we were talking about, it's just not that good for the players.
And also, you know, not even having a proper protocol. I mean, one of them said, you know, it's the responsibility of the player to reach the corpse before it despawns. I mean, that's just not true. That's just a lie. I don't know what that guy was thinking when he said that. I mean, I don't know when he was
Nihilum, when Nihilum killed Allah, they killed Allah in midair. They couldn't get to the corpse, and yet that was fixed for them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what he was thinking when he wrote that. I mean, maybe he thought, you know, if I say that, they'll stop ticketing us. I mean, I don't know why he would say that, what possessed him to say it, but he did, and now he just looks like a muppet as well.
So what do you believe that Blizzard actually has to do as regards to changing the structure of the GMs? What do they need to do to shake up the service so that it really works for players?
Make sure there is someone who knows about the game and is enthusiastic about it in charge of these people, really, who knows what he's talking about, and can assist.
Needs to be better.
If the initial response, primary response, isn't good enough. Like I said before, getting multiple responses from different GMs all not knowing much about what the problem is or
And all
about
different.
Lady Vashj herself isn't very helpful. I'd rather just speak to one who does know what he's talking about, really.
Yeah, it would be helpful if the things were actually forwarded on to... If they did have different departments that dealt with specific issues, then one would think that you'd receive the ticket, think, okay, I'm not part of this department, I don't have the requisite knowledge, I'm going to forward it on to someone else. It does seem to me like they're trying to fulfill quotas and keep their jobs more than anything else, which is not 100% their fault, but it's certainly something that Blizzard needs to look into as regards to restructuring the way that GMs work in general.
Yeah, if it's just quota filling, that's quite a poor way to structure ticketing systems. I mean, you know, you're dealing with complaints. I mean, you're not just supposed to tick boxes, you're actually supposed to fix them. So, yeah, they need to, if it is quota filling, they need to change that as soon as possible and just get some knowledge base into the work support.
Right, well in that case, we're going to go to a music break now, I think, and then we'll come back with some questions as regards to World Firsts, Legit Kills, Soul Stones and Drama, not necessarily in that order.
Don't forget about what's...
Oh yes, definitely. So, I'd like a song request from one of you. Sco, you can go first. What would you like to hear?
Tiesto Flight 643, please.
No problem whatsoever. You're listening to Blue Please here on WoW Radio with myself, Total Biscuit, and this is the Method interview. Tiesto coming up right now. Enjoy. You're listening to the podcast and archive of Blue Please. You can listen in live on Sundays at 17:30 GMT. That's 12:30 Eastern Standard Time with a lively musical pre-show kicking off 1 hour beforehand. If you like WoW Radio's productions, then make sure to dig our shows at dig.com and check out our website at www.wcradio.com.
Hey, Mocktail.
I am Hordak.
You are the world.
And we have something to talk to you about.
We want to tell you about a CCG. No, the CCG, called The Spoils.
What's the spoils, you ask? Well, I'll tell you now, and I'll punish you later for your insolent questioning.
The Spoils is a CCG produced by Tenacious Games, and in our combined 20 years of CCG experience, we've yet to find its equal.
Magic, technology, giant cat people, man-eating dragons, and of course, leet-speaking elves.
All of these things come together to form the ultimate tournament and just plain fun card game.
So ask about The Spoils in your local game store and visit www.thespoils.com to learn more about the latest and greatest card game on the market, brought to us by Tenacious Games.
You're listening to Blue Please here on WoW Radio with myself, Total Biscuit, and the one and only exclusive Method interview. Welcome to the show. If you've just tuned in, you've missed half the show. Fortunately for you, you can download any previous shows at wcradio.com. Click the downloads button at the top of the screen. And if you're listening to this on a podcast, well, you didn't really miss anything, did you? And that's a good thing. I'm here with Sco and Rei. That's main tank and, I believe, healing lead of Method. Sylvanas realm, if I remember correctly, yeah?
Yeah, that's right.
Correct, yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Right, well, anyone's been keeping up with the Raids and Dungeons forum, particularly on woweurope.com, will have seen there's been a little bit of drama surrounding the phrase World First Legit Kill. Now, the question is, to start with, where did that phrase first come from?
Go ahead, Ray.
Well, I wrote in my post, Method down, Lady Vashj, World Second. And then I wrote in my post, it was a total legit kill with no bugged HP and a totally balanced raid, making it the first 100% to 0% unbugged kill. So, I'm just stating there that our kill was legit, nothing about Nihilim's kill, which is true depending on how you view the legitimacy of the Fear Ward, and making it the first 100% to 0% unbugged kill, which is also true because Nihilim's Vashj bugged in HP. She lost a certain percentage of her HP. So it's not exactly a lie, but I wouldn't say it was the first legitimate kill, really. I mean, I do say it's world second. I mean, we're not claiming it's a world first. It is a world second. They did kill it first. And as it's been said by quite a number of people, if Nihilim had kept trying it, bashed their head against it, they probably would have killed it 100% to 0%, no bugged HP, eventually, if it hadn't bugged or whatever. I don't know quite what happened in their in their try they killed it, but they obviously thought, right, okay, well, she's bugged her HP, we've got the kill, there's no reason to do her again, she's totally stupid, you know, we've got to put so much effort into it, we're not going to bother, so we'll just wait for the patch. And that's obviously what we did. We just decided to do that. We didn't get bugged HP at all, so that's basically where that post is coming from. So
that's fair enough. I believe there was a comment made on Vent, actually. You managed to put some of the Vent recording when you killed her into your movie, and if anyone hasn't seen that already, check out warcraftmovies.com, it's all over there. And I think someone said world first legit kill. Do you think that's where some of that came from? Is that something you just said in the heat of the moment?
Yeah, actually quite exciting to kill this boss. I mean, you know, not many people have killed it. I mean, Nihilum killed it a month ago, and, you know, it was bugged HP, everyone knew that at the time, so, you know, to kill her totally outright with no sort of HP bugs, you know, it was just a heat of the moment thing, and, you know,
understandable. Yeah,
we didn't know the Vent was going to be in the movie, but it obviously was, and, you know, no offense to Nihilum.
Zuzo actually considered removing that Ventrilo from the movie before posting it on warcraftmovies.com, but decided against it in the end because he thought it added some atmosphere to the movie.
Yeah,
don't take anything too serious from that. I mean, it's just adds the entertainment value, really. Or at least that's what's hoped to achieve.
It makes the last few percentage a bit more exciting. You know, you hear everyone going nuts on Vent. I mean, it's not meant to be taken, you know, this is any sort of guild statement when that's put in. It's just, you know,
of course,
this is the final moments of Ventrilo when Vashj was killed type of thing. Just to let you hear what everyone was like.
It's always nice to hear nerds cheering on Ventrilo when you're down at boss, so...
Of course, yeah. Absolutely.
Nerd excitement, yeah.
So, as regards to the allegations that people are making that you're trying to wash over Nihilum's kill and saying that it wasn't, you know, up to snuff, you know, that's all basically bollocks, yeah?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, understandable. So, do you think the fanboys have definitely been the ones who've completely and totally taken this out of perspective and caused this little feud going on in R&D at the minute?
Quite possibly. I mean, yeah, the words were there for them to use, so it can be used in both sides. I mean, yeah, maybe we shouldn't have thrown these words about, like, legit and all that stuff, but yeah, I mean, any post like this is going to attract some attention, so, you know, they're going to go, you know, oh yeah, you know, Nihilum's HP bugged, so, you know, yours is a legit kill anyway, something like that, maybe, I don't know, you just never know. So yeah, they've taken this and they've really worked on it, but
everyone's entitled to their own opinion, I guess, but there's no doubt in anyone in Method's mind that Nihilum is definitely the best guild out there at the moment. I mean, we're not trying to challenge that position, there's no question about it.
I mean, you know, you may disagree or agree, you know, just on how they get their world first and how they get such good progress. The fact is they do, and they've been doing it for such a long time. They really are, you know, a really good, organised guild. You can have your own opinions on how they get there, but they get there nonetheless, and you've got to respect them for that. You know, we're not trying to take away any of the prestige they got from their kill, because they did kill it. I mean, let's not forget, they did kill Lady Vashj. I mean, she was dead, so yeah, it's definitely a world second, and it was a month behind, so, you know, they're a very good guild. You know, we're not saying, you know, at any point that we're better than them. Not at the moment, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, let's tell us a little bit about this fear ward bug. Some people seem to be a little confused. What is happening with that? What is the issue with the fight?
One of the large ad spawns in Phase 2, the Striders, they've got a pulsing fear, which fails to remove the fear ward from the tank upon doing the fear. So that's pretty much the bug.
Fair enough.
Yes. So
in a way, I think people are overreacting with the whiny about that, because can I just remind you that Phase 2 of the fight is not the hard part, it's the Phase 3 that's the challenging part of the encounter. I'm pretty confident that most guilds could pass Phase 2.
So, as regards to that particular spawn, they're obviously not supposed to be tanked because of the pulsing fear. Yeah, they're supposed to be, kited DPS down?
Well, we tried doing them with two different methods. The tanking, obviously, with the fear ward, and kiting them. Kiting them, to be honest, it works just as well. I mean, these Striders hit for about 7k on tanks, as well as doing a Mind Blast. So this is quite heavy healing on the tanks. Chance on death, I guess. and kiting them. It takes about 20 to 25 seconds to DPS one of these striders down, and Curse of Exhaustion means that 1 DPS just has to kite it around whoever's got aggro on it. And of course, this is normally a Shadow Priest or a Warlock, so I mean, Shadow Priest and Warlock are dot heavy classes, so yeah. People saying that we wouldn't be able to pass Phase 2 without tanking those striders just don't know what they're talking about, really. I mean, DPS, as you can see in the video, is actually overkill in Phase 2. Phase 2 was a walk in the park at the World Buff attempts, and it would make very little difference whether we kited them or tanked them.
Yeah, you might lose.
In hindsight, because of the wind, it probably would have been better to kite them, I guess, but it makes little difference. It's just 1 DPS running around while the mob can't catch him with the Curse of Exhaustion on him, so it takes about 20 to 25 seconds when you get down. Makes little difference to the DPS, really, especially because it'll be a Lock or a Shadow Priest with the aggro, who are still taking damage from the dots, so...
Yeah, fair enough. And it's interesting to see that with a lot of the high-end encounters, we are having some serious bug issues. Do you feel that Blizzard aren't taking endgamers and endgame in general seriously enough and not realising just how much of an effect a world first or a buggy boss can have, not only on high-end raiders, but on the morale of the community in general, thinking, oh, well, this game isn't working as intended? Is this something that they definitely need to push on?
Yeah, I think they really need to improve the way they design endgame raiding, because at the moment some of the bugs they have in these instances are just pretty insane. I mean, you can't really expect people to go and put up with that for much longer. I mean, they really have to raise the bar to what they... I mean, Nax Remastered is a very, very well-designed instance, and not many bugs. There was still a few issues, but, it was generally quite sound. So, if they just, take a leaf out of that book and implement that into Tier 6 instances, it could be... raiding could be as enjoyable as it was back in Nax.
Yeah, there's no question that the bugging's definitely taking away some enjoyment from the endgame raiding. I mean, the fact that we keep on raiding it, even though it's still bugged, is because we've done the same for the last 2 years. I mean, there's a little alternative. That's the main reason, I would say. I mean, whether the encounters are bugged or not, they'll know that endgame raiding guilds will still keep trying these encounters until the boss dies. That's how it is. Although, for the casual gamers, yeah, it's a problem. A serious problem.
They do need to fix it for the wider community, but it's just...
Do you feel that yourselves and Healerm and D&T and Curse and all the other high-end guilds are effectively being used as guinea pigs to beta test this content, so that when as you mentioned, the casuals, the raiders who aren't quite up to your standard do arrive at that area, the encounter will be 100% ready to go?
There's no question about it that quite a lot of bugs are being made aware due to high-end guilds attempting these encounters. But, yeah.
I don't know whether they intended that to happen. Like, I don't know whether they sat down and they thought, well, we're not going to test these encounters, and just when, the players go out and test them, as Sco said, the high-end guilds are going to keep trying a boss until it dies anyway. I don't know if they actually sat down and thought, they're going to keep trying until the boss dies anyway, so let's just get some free beta testers, basically. We don't need to put any effort into it. We just release the instance and we watch how it goes. But I don't think surely they must have not done that. I mean, let's have a little more faith in Blizzard than they did that.
Well, it's evident from the PTR that Mine High Jal wasn't exactly finished. There's no question about it that they'll probably left Vashj pretty much untested and insanely difficult to try and slow raiders down. That's my opinion.
Yeah, so you would definitely put a little bit of credence on what people call a conspiracy theory that, Vashj and Kael'thas are deliberately, cock blocks is probably the best way to put it, to stop into an unfinished instance, yeah?
I would say yes.
Either they're deliberately cock-blocked, or, they didn't expect anyone to reach there, and then, well, there you go, people have, and quite a lot of people have, so quite a lot of guilds have now, seen Vashj and seen Kael'thas, but...
They were expecting raiding guilds to progress a bit faster. They were saying earlier on with the Max Iron and Gruul, but to be honest, I don't think they expected guilds to kill Lady Vashj and Kael'thas for 2.1 because of the fact that Mine High Jal wasn't in its finished state, and they don't really want to continue this succession of buggy and inverted commas encounters.
Fair enough. So it was certainly possibly a degree of concern from Blizzard that, they don't want to release another unfinished piece of content. So to stop people from getting there, they made it insanely difficult. You know, had only 4 vials drop per kill. It's like no guild, no matter how good they are, is going to get into high al before we're good and ready to let them.
Well, yeah, because even in players' minds, it's not so bad wiping on the end boss in an instance. So I think they intentionally made the end bosses very difficult. It's the bosses before the end bosses, like Alar, which are very annoying. The fact that they're still bugged, like the mass spawning of ads during phase 1. I mean, that's just disappointing.
Yeah, definitely. There's one other accusation. You seem to be getting a lot of this stuff, to be honest. There's one other accusation from the R&D forums, which I'd like you to respond to. What do you have to say to people that say that mass soul stoning affects the legitimacy of the world first kill? What's your opinion on mass soul stoning in general?
Mass soul stoning, I would want it to get removed from the game. It's a bit of a joke. It's a bit of a joke using world buffs as well, because, I mean, you spend 10 to 15 minutes going to the island, your Jamba Isle, storming, getting the head and Sandlub off. That's not including even farming Blackman Lair and Zolgarub for these buffs to start with. Yeah. So during the raid time, you're also taking about like 30 minutes to buff up the raid, and then adding soulstones to that as well. I mean, it's like 30-40 minutes before you do one attempt on the boss, something goes wrong, or the boss bugs. Actually got to repeat everything again. Soulstones, yeah, they should fix that as soon as possible, probably by losing no one zoning or whatever. It should definitely be fixed. In terms of what we use soulstones for, I mean, Lady Vashj was the first time we actually ever soulstoned using out of raid warlocks. I mean, people saying we used it all the time. Honestly, hand on heart, that's the first time we've used soulstones from out of guild warlocks in raid instances.
And I don't understand why people are so surprised and are latching onto our kill to the fact we use mass stoning. Mass soul stoning is not a new thing. It's been used for a while. I mean, it's been used by a number of guilds. Even back in Extra Mass, there was a few soul stoning encounters going on there where people got soul stones on everyone. I mean, I don't know why people are latching onto our kill. Maybe just because
I wouldn't say it affects the legitimacy of a kill, but it's definitely something that should be fixed as soon as possible, I would say.
Fair enough. Yeah.
It's annoying.
I mean, it's something anyone can do. So
the fact that guilds are leveling up level 18 warlocks and stuff just to soulstone the raid. It's a joke.
Fair enough. Okay, right, well, we're going to come after the break with some listener questions and queries. Some good, some not so good, some, quite frankly, very, very ugly indeed. You're listening to WoW Radio. This is the Method Interview, part of Blue Please, with myself, Total Biscuit, and special guest Sco and Rei in the studio. Right, one guy had a song request, so let's have the other. What do you want us to play?
Well, this is dedicated to someone. They will know who they are, so I'd like Base Hunter Botanana.
Right, okay, Base Hunter coming up right now on WoW Radio. Enjoy. You're listening to the podcast and archive of Blue Please. You can listen in live on Sundays at 17:30 GMT. That's 12:30 Eastern Standard Time, with a lively musical pre-show kicking off 1 hour beforehand. If you like WoW Radio's productions, then make sure to dig our shows at dig.com and check out our website at www.wcradio.com.
This is WoW Radio. The Weekend Report.
Do not say they heard us singing just now. Oh my god, Lito, you are so fired.
The Lore Keepers.
Let's start with the random lore questions, okay?
Pandaren. Will we ever be able to faction up with them? AKA, will they ever come out of where they're hiding and say hello?
WoW Things Considered.
Sir, I'm a reporter for WoW Things Considered. Can I get a moment of your time?
Flame, death, destruction.
Vendor Trash.
I said, hey, Static, we don't even know exactly what's wrong with you. Do you want to do a radio show on Fridays at 7? I was like, yeah, sure, guys, I'd love to do it. Let's call it Vendor Trash. What a stupid-ass name.
Max Speed.
What are warlocks famous for in PvP Speed? Are they famous for DPSing? No. What are they famous for, Max?
Blue Please.
The reason there is such a difficulty disparity right now is that Blizzard has completely abandoned Legacy Raid content.
Octale and Hordak versus the world.
Hey, Hordak, you're looking kind of sluggish, man.
Yeah, I know. I gotta build up some more rage before we can get started.
On the cards.
You must believe in the heart of the cards. I'm at FDR.
Nobody cares, Grandpa.
And new for 2007, World of Theorycraft, Deus Ex Machinima, and The X. Many shows, left side, everyone epic. Find out more at www.wcradio.com.
You are listening to WoW Radio and Blue Pleased with the exclusive method interview with myself, Total Biscuit, special guest Sco and Rei in the studio. Now, before we go on to listener questions, we're going to try and round up everything we've just said, try and fill in the blanks, get the gaps plugged, make sure the dam doesn't burst and kill all the innocent villagers, and then we'll get on with the community's questions and questions from the listeners posted in the thread on the WCRadio.com forums over the past week. Scott, I think you wanted to say a couple more things on the Soulstone issue before we continued.
Yeah, there's certain encounters like a lot that are just screaming for you to use Soulstones on everyone in the raid. I mean, flame patches, meteors, and charge in phase 2 of that encounter. I mean, individual raid members have got a high chance of dying at any moment, really.
Yeah.
I mean, Soulstones make that encounter very much easier. Last resort being the first guild to publicly admit on their forums that they actually took 2 days off to level up Warlocks to level 18 to Soulstone the raid for that encounter. Like I said, Lady Vashj is the first time we've ever used Soulstones on the raid from out of raid Warlocks. But looking back on it now, although I think it's lame to use Soulstones, at the same time I would like to have used it in previous encounters just to make things easier for us.
Yeah, so something of a case perhaps that Blizzard really do need to think things through before putting things in the game. It does remind me all the way back to Molten Core with the LBRS fire resistance buff, and there was, I believe, mixed GM response on that, wasn't there? People couldn't really seem to form a cogent opinion as to whether or not it was good and bad, and this was coming from Blizzard themselves, not just the players.
Yeah, there were screenshots of them saying, yeah, it's a legitimate use of world mechanics and game mechanics and all that, and then there were some people saying, oh, some people got banned for using this buff, and there was just a lot of confusion, but I think it turned out that it was alright to use, so...
Fair enough. Alright, is there anything else you guys would like to say before we launch into the proverbial cesspit that is the community questions thread?
Don't think so.
Okay, well, let's go straight into it. A lot of these are going to be quick fire, so be ready on your buzzers. Right, let's have a look at this. Now, here's a question. Savile asks, how long has your guild been raiding in the Burning Crusade?
Since the start, really. Since
about a week or two into... a week or two, we started Karazhan, the first 10th level 70s or so. Then pretty much raiding from then on.
Yeah, just as soon as it was possible to start raiding, we have, so...
What are the top 3 hardest bosses you've encountered in the Burning Crusade?
Lady Vashj.
Lady Vashj would be up there.
A lot in a way is quite difficult, I would say. Gruul, pre-nerf, was hard. Just starting raiding and then going against Gruul before he was nerfed at all. He was very hard and very annoying, to be honest. Yeah, Gruul and Lady Vashj are the two really coming to mind.
Hydros is very difficult as well. Hydros is a pain in the ass. So... I dislike Hydros, so I'd probably put Hydros above Gruul. But yeah, Lady Vashj, Alara is quite difficult, but Hydros, I'd say. Lady Vashj.
Gruul was very demotivating, raiding that boss every night, basically. Trying to down him with the luck factor involved. Especially since we just missed the opportunity to use the invulnerability potions. I mean... Removing the chance to use invulnerability potions, I mean, the only real way you could get him down was by him bugging out and not doing any ground slams. But, I mean, we did manage to kill him without him bugging out, so I guess we managed to get him in the end, but it was quite a while before we did. We were looking for things in the encounter that weren't actually there, like what caused him to do the strike on the off-tank and stuff like that, if his slams followed any pattern or... position in the room, so on.
Out of line of sight, so you don't get
multiple things we tried on that encounter, but in the end, it just came down to luck factor. It was annoying.
Just came down to perseverance again. So
fair enough. And as regards to Burning Crusade raiding, this one comes from Tynarius, and he asks, what do you think of Burning Crusade's raid encounters as regards to so-called legacy raid encounters, Molten Core through to Nax?
Well, Nax Remastered was a very, very good instance and very well designed and very enjoyable, and all the bosses were, as I said earlier, they weren't that buggy, and it was quite good and well designed compared to Burning Crusade ones. It's a step above.
Yeah, you would have thought that Burning Crusade raiding instances would have been a step even further than Max Islands, but in terms of enjoyment, Naxxramas has so far beaten all the raiding content in Running Crusade, unfortunately, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Fair enough. Well, as regards to class battles, there's a lot of questions on classes and which class is best, which class isn't. I'm going to try and merge them all into one particular question. As regards to your raid makeup, there are certain classes which, certainly hybrid classes, particularly Shadow Priests, which are being viewed as now primary DPS classes, and certain classes as Hunters that appear to be getting the bat as being the red-headed stepchild of raiding. With regards to your raid makeup, do you use Hunters? Do you feel that maybe the class roles have changed since vanilla WoW? Mages no longer the top damage dealers, rogues taking any particular beating. What's your general opinion on class makeup?
I don't think we make up our raids as well as we could to situate certain encounters, like Nihilum, for example, using no rogues on Leotharas. I mean, from the very start, we've always used 3 rogues on Leotharas, and we rarely make adjustments to our standard raid setup.
Yeah, we've always...
Pretty much because that's what we've always done. Not wanting to make anyone set out, I guess. But there's no question about it that we could maybe optimize our raid setup a bit better for certain encounters. The only really optimizing we've done so far is removing 1 Hunter from the 2 for our 4th Warlock, because Warlock damage at this moment is just insane in raids.
Yeah, I think every encounter we've been to, we've had at least one of every class in the raid. We don't say, this particular class, class A, you're not coming today. We've never done anything like that. If the people are online and they've got the spots anyway, there may be some slight adjustments there, like as Sco said, a Hunter reduced and a Warlock and that sort of thing, but there's no big, no rogues today or whatever.
Also, I do in a way feel a bit sorry for some of the classes like Hunters, whose damage at the moment is poor in comparison to other DPS classes. I mean, without misdirect required in some encounters like Leotharas, Lady Vashj and so on, their use in raids would be pretty much nothing.
Yeah, we've got some questions on something of a negative angle. Apparently someone on your realm, a man called Dispatch. I think you've had a look at these in the thread, so I'm going to fire these at you and see how you can deal with them. So get ready for these ones. Right. Hang on. Why is Sco still your GM even though he never does anything about the management? Everyone knows that Armand does all the work. What's this all about?
Well, I mean, Armand hasn't been with us since the start of Naxxramas, so...
Yeah, he quit about a year ago, so...
He was known as the Realm God, though.
Really?
That says enough, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, he did a lot of work, he did all the progress threads on Sylvanas Realm Forum, and he was really known as, the guy that, did everything. And he did do a lot. But
he did do a lot.
He's been gone for ages now, so I don't know where this guy's getting this information from. But Armand quit.
Quit a while ago, yeah. Well, he's got some more information, apparently. He says, why are you so restrained in keeping craftable epics to yourself? Are you really that afraid of the competition?
I'm not too sure what he means by that, to be honest.
Craftable epics.
Never heard him. I honestly don't know what he's talking about, to be honest.
What epics is he talking about? What
I
epics
have
that you can only get through raiding?
I don't know. I really don't. Let's keep going with these questions. Let's see what else we can debunk or affirm. How do you feel about making several deals with Alliance and Horde guilds about outdoor raid dragons and then breaking them whenever you feel like it?
I can't even remember if we did any deals on outdoor dragons or not. Though there was occasions where just said
everyone enjoys a bit of outdoor PvP. That's all I can say.
That's great. Here's one more. Do you feel that being on top of the server for so long has made some of your members smug?
No.
No, they were smug before they joined.
Yeah. They've always been smug, yeah.
Nice. Now, speaking of smug and being on top of the server, I heard somebody wipe the chess event.
Yeah. Sylvie also managed recently to wipe on Hakar and Zalgarop.
Yep.
But yeah, he started off by wiping on the chess event, yeah. And I think he wanted me to say something today as well. He wanted me to say it. But World of Warcraft is a team game. And people camping the chest while he's trying to solve the chess event isn't good enough. And anyone who wants to whine about it again should go and get AIDS.
How does one wipe the chess event anyway?
You'd have
he was in control of the king, and he moved from one flame patch into another flame patch.
Oh well, never mind. Now I've got some quick fire ones. You've literally apparently got to answer these ones even as quickly as possible. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to alternate between the two of you. Sco's going to answer one, then Ray's going to answer one, then Sco, then Ray, blah 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 all the way through these. Are you ready for these?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
So who's
World
first?
PvP or Battlegrounds?
World PvP.
Sil or Ray?
Ray. Woo.
Pugs or premates?
Premates, definitely.
Northern Ireland or Wales?
It's got to be Wales.
It's got to be
First
Northern Ireland.
Ragnaros kill or first Kel'Thuzad kill?
Ragnaros.
Thunder Fury or TBC Epics?
Thunder Fury.
Enhancement Shaman or Feral Druid?
It's a tough one. Feral Druid, I guess.
Kendo or Vertney?
Oh, it's got to be Vertna. Sorry, Kendo, you're just not good enough, mate.
Tanking or DPS?
Tanking.
WoW or real life?
Oh, wow, definitely. Come on.
Hey.
It is a
Fanta
real
or
life.
Pepsi?
Pepsi, no question about that.
Form Trolls or Gold Sellers?
Oh, gold sellers, you know.
I'm not even going to ask why. Dota or Footman Frenzy?
Dota.
Uh,
Really?
Don't say anything.
Don't
say anything at all. Don't even bother.
What can I say? Sham is a noob.
Nah.
We'll get you
R&B
next
or
time.
techno? R&B or techno?
Is this mine? Techno, I suppose, instance.
Shaman or Paladin?
Paladin.
Apple pie or chocolate cookies?
It's got to be apple pie.
And lag a lot or constant disconnects?
Constant disconnects.
And that is a lot of the quickfire questions. Right, I'm going to let you guys go into that thread and do a pick and mix. Pick whatever question you'd like to answer. And I'm just going to sit back and let you guys blather on and fill up the time of my show. So, off you go.
If you were to have 3 wishes in game, what would they be? Well, definitely the first wish would be to obtain the Raptor Mount in Zolgarub. In fact, that would be the second and third wish as well, so yeah.
You've never had it drop then, or you've just been unlucky with it?
I've done Zolgarub, probably 100 times now. It's never dropped in the group I've been in, so...
There's one here from Darius US or something, and it's like, how does it feel being one of the major elite guilds? Well, I don't know what he's meaning by that, being a major elite guild. We've only killed Vashj second, but I suppose we wouldn't be doing this interview if we weren't otherwise, so yeah, feeling pretty good.
BossKillers.com says you're the second best guild in the world, so
yeah,
gotta put some credence on that.
So yeah, I suppose it does feel pretty good. Thanks for asking.
How much gold and consumables do you use as a guild to kill Lady Vashj? A lot. Thousands of gold worth. Can you offer any advice in general for raiding guilds and raiders in Karazhan right now? Well, especially with Burning Crusade, perseverance is the key, no question about that. What is your opinion of itemization in Burning Crusade? Very poor at the moment. Should be changed in the next patch though, looking good.
Yeah, it is looking good.
Question here. Did any of your members compete in any of the Nax race last year? And how is it being on the brink of bleeding edge progression? Different now than it was keeping up with bosses, tuning out of the question. Well, in Nax, we did pretty well in Nax. I remember Surfex's posts on the Raids and Dungeons. We got a few top 5s, top 10 kills in EU at least, on all the bosses up to 4 horsemen, and then we kind of hit 4 horsemen, and that was kind of a bit of like, we tried it with 6 tanks, and we didn't really latch onto the 8 tank thing for a while, so we kind of fell behind in the end on the races. But after we killed 4 horsemen, the amount of time we took to kill Kel'Thuzad after that was quite good. But
yeah, I'd just like to say something about that 4 horsemen actually. I mean, Blizzard's requiring you to use 8 tanks on that encounter, and then soon after releasing Burning Crusade, where in 25-man raids you're only going to need like 3 warriors. I didn't really like the way that they did that, to be honest. I mean, going from 8 warriors down to 3 or whatever.
What are your event antics like during farm stats raids, progression raids, and just sitting on the AH grid dancing? Presuming that's what Alliance does anyway. Well, event antics. Yeah, Ventrilo there's been some pretty funny moments in Vent, but usually during kills is some of the funniest moments. But yeah, during farm stats, I suppose it can be quite funny. There's a few comedians in the guild, so...
Does the guild have an arena team, or are you strictly PvE? Well, I know that Zuzo is big in arena, big into an arena PvP, but the team he's made doesn't consist of only in guilds. So I would say that we don't actually have an official guild arena team at the moment.
People still do PvP. I mean, it's not like we say don't do PvP or anything like that. I mean, people, do PvP out of their own choice and just if that's what they're into.
Wait, is your power level over 9,000?
I'm sure it would be if I had such a device to measure it. I don't know where it's from. I think it's from Dragon Ball Z.
It is from Dragon Ball Z, if I remember correctly. I heard that it was involved in Kungan's infamous 500k revenge crit.
I have no idea what it is. It's like some sort of counter, and it's over 9,000. I think that's supposed to be quite large. So, but yeah, I guess it would be over 9,000.
Lady Vashj will not be mind controlling anymore. As the spell is removed, will this make the encounter way easier, or the same as the real deal? Are the bats spitting insane poison bolts? Well, yeah, the bats are spitting insane poison bolts, but there's no question about it that removing the mind control will make the encounter a lot easier, allowing a lot more DPS on Vashj, since you get the DPS on the mind control people, or maybe a lot easier on the healing as well. It should actually balance the encounter out, I suppose, with the nerfing consumables and the buffing gear.
Who would win a fight between Sco, Kungan, and Hogger? I don't know. Have to ask Sco. Would you be up for the challenge?
It would be hell in the cell.
I don't know who done that. Probably Hogger, as everyone would
Probably
say.
Hogger. And that's a lot by the looks of it. You've been listening to the Method interview with myself, Total Biscuit, special guests Sco and Rei. Is there any final words you'd like to say for everyone out there?
Happy Mother's Day. I don't know. I suppose we could do a shout out to everyone in Method. Yeah, shout out to everyone in Sylvanas, everyone in Method. Personally, I'd like to do a personal shout out to all the priests of Method, past and present. Good times. So yeah, shout outs there. So big ups. Oh, can I just answer this question? Have any companies offered to sponsor you yet? And if so, would you accept the offer? I think it's safe to say, if the terms were right, it would be a yes. So, companies, if you're out there listening, get in touch. Sorry to use your show to plug Method.
It's not a problem. It's not a problem. But in return, I must ask, how do you respond to the allegations that you all, in fact, suck at Dota?
Oh, right. Is this some sort of Dota-based... I don't know who you were playing against from Method yesterday, but... there were some real new guys in the guild that maybe aren't quite as good as Dota.
Yeah. Let me have a look.
If you're going to play,
they told us they were shit off.
Main Method team.
The performance.
If you're going to play the main Method
team.
If you're going to play the main Method team, I think you'd be in for a lose. So I'd say that's a challenge.
I'd say that is a challenge. In that case, we, the WoW Radio official Team A for Dota, will challenge your Team A to a Dota match at some point over the next few days.
Good stuff. And, you better post the fact that you lose when you do lose it.
I think we'll fraps
It's got to be all over the
think?
boards. Fraps, yeah, Ventrilo recordings, 100% legit Dota.
Yeah.
Let's get on.
I should give a shout out to Spicer, but I don't know what I should say yet. Yeah, I guess I'll just say a shout out to all those that made our Vashj kill possible, and if you're listening, Blizzard, can you please buff my Thunder Fury in patch 2.1?
Fantastic. You've been listening to the Method interview with myself, Total Biscuit, Sco and Rei. We shall go out in a song, as we always do. Stay tuned for more Blue Please Goodness. Thanks for coming along, and thanks for making this worthwhile, Sco and Rei, and congratulations on your World Second Vashj kill.
Thanks.
And we'll see you on Dota.
I say bring it on. Nubcake News! Stop that. Welcome to this week's edition of Nubcake News. Coming up right now, a very special preview of the new cultural event hitting the season, GM's The Opera. By by the light of the moon. Could you explain the problem that you're having, please? Well, the bats are still here, and we can't get our loot. Well, did your hunter's pet Solo Nefarian? What are you on about? This boss is Lady Vashj. How often has this happened? The opera is an instance. This is Serpent Shrine. I'll go play RuneScape. I'll go play RuneScape. But first, with Vashj now dead and buried and Kael'thas quaking in his namby-pamby elfy boots, the community at large is rapidly coming to the conclusion that the Burning Crusade endgame is in fact too easy. We spoke to a prominent level 1 troll who told us, there are too many world firsts these days. Just how easy can these bosses be anyway? We've already got 27 different guilds claiming world first on Lady Vashj, when everyone knows you can only have 3. Blizzard needs to sort out this debacle immediately. Weird Nubcake News put a lot of stock into the opinions of level 1 forum trolls. However, for the sake of balance and something about an impending lawsuit, we thought we should actually ask the opinions of those who were actually involved in world firsts. We found them inside the Black Temple on the public test realm. In 2007, a crack main tank unit was sent to prison by a military court for a revenge crit he may have committed. This man promptly escaped the maximum security stockades to the Orgrimmar underground. Today, still wanted by the community, he survives as a raider of fortune. If you have a problem, if no one else can help, and if he can be asked, maybe you can hire the K-Team. Kungan has no time for puny interviews. Kungan must get the password for all 25 raid members and run them to the safe spot alone. Kungan, we humbly offer you this large piece of cooked meat. We heard that you have no food left. Kungan accepts your measly offering and proceeds to beat a slacker to death with it. Excellent, now we've got that out of the way. Yes, Kungan agrees. New encounters are designed for weaklings. But how exactly are they any different from before? Impotent amateur! The reason is simple. Blizzard doesn't require a main tank to use Thunder Fury anymore to complete an encounter. This is lunacy. They used to design encounters so that only the truly hardcore could manage it. What is this nonsense? Mere epics for tanking weapons? 1 hour trash respawns? Kungan remembers soloing Corehound respawns every 16 minutes. But Kungan, surely Corehounds weren't as bad as... Are you questioning Kungan's memory? Kungan sees all. Kungan tanks all. Hug the Kungan and show passion. Be my Robin. No, please, Kungan, don't touch me. Hey, look, over there, a casual. Our guild's doing great right now. We just downed Gruul, and our tank is still wearing some blues. What? Casuals mock Blizzard's divine will by exploiting their way to victory. Unacceptable. Oh my god, no, it's Kungan. Run for your lives. Kungan will destroy the weaklings. What is this? Who dodges from behind? Kungan, it's always been that way in the game. You dare challenge Kungan? Feel Kungan's wrath. Our reporter was found sometime later, plastered all over the walls of the Orgrimmar auction house with the mysterious Kungan nowhere to be seen. Reporters are expensive to replace, so that is probably for the best. This has been Nubcake News. Good night. Yo, faux shizzle and so forth. Time for another additional one and only rap in the forums, where we take the worst forum posts we can find and turn them into hip-hop beats and styling and yo and all that combination of grills and yeah and stuff. I don't understand what these children are talking about these days. Alright, here's one for you. Let's go. With a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. Warlocks defend my religious beliefs. I've been playing WoW for a few years now and haven't spoken up about this, but I feel the addition of the new content in TBC that's swamped with demonic influences. Now is the time to speak up. I feel that this is important because there are many children who play WoW that play with or even as warlocks. Unfortunately, because of the cool aura that surrounds warlocks in this game, many of these children may get the wrong impression. The current portrayals of warlocks and demons in the game is having a negative effect on these children, and I am concerned that this may have been a long-term implication in regards to the mental development to start them down the wrong path. I feel Blizzard has a social responsibility to ensure that this doesn't happen, as to all warlock players it is wrong. Firstly, one of the main problems with warlocks in WoW is their emphasis on demons. It's cool and hip in WoW to be able to wave your hands for 10 seconds and have a demonic servant, be it a little lip to run around with or an nearly naked succubus completed with a whip. This is sending the wrong message to children. It is not hip or cool to summon demons. Demons should only be summoned when absolutely necessary, not on a whim. Secondly, the ease at which demons are summoned is inappropriate. Demon summoning IRL takes years of hard work to understand the methods and the risks and to be prepared and under control. The summoning is a long-term process, and the summoner must be within a perfect circle of protection. In addition, the summoner must know the true name of the demon he wishes to summon, and must then be able to control and appease him, lest he face his wrath. In WoW, this practice and the fact it entails is trivialized. Second demons in WoW are fairly mundane and weak. Anyone who has encountered a demon IRL knows that they are not servants or playthings. Set teachers respect for the power of those you wish to use. WoW makes demons look like toys. This is particularly apparent with the succubus. Whilst some demons do appear in incubi form, succubi do not exist IRL. By fostering this false impression that demons are fun, many children may not accept or respect the reality of the situation. When be led down the right-hand path later in life, finally warlocksism is devoid of curses. As curses obviously are not real, I feel it is a moral problem that Blizzard portrays curses in a real way to solve problems. This is not the way. Direct action is always the best response of a useless. When imaginary hocus-pocus spells are portrayed reasonably, given that for many a reagent cost and a blood sacrifice to life attack is required. Hopefully this post will encourage more respect and tolerance. LOL. Stop trying to copy Shaman equals Jesus reference troll post. Wow, just wow, lol, 8 out of 10. Nice to see some humor, lots of QQ lately, find my Mia. I never knew priests were pedophiles until scandals came up. Personally, I picked a warlock because I was Bible bashed for 6 years of my life, and I'm growing cynical over the beliefs that my Christian teachers have told me I lol there. Says the guy playing a blue alien from outer space / facepalm lol. Ed, come on man, WTF if you like to summon demons IRL and go ahead because you do, you're gonna be their snacker. Unless you worship demons from hell. Oh, of course it offends your own religion, but why stop playing this game? Is freaking awesome when I think so, reader. Too bad, demons aren't real at all, but 9 out of 10 be kinda cool if they were lol. No such things as demons, the exorcism of Emily Rose, or was she mentally ill? Felt God cleaving you into your cooler. The bigger issue is that kills rolling warlock because they're FOTM. Lads, ladettes, and everybody, I am done and I am out of time for today. Check out the rest of our shows on WCRadio.com. Click the downloads button to download anything we've done in the past. This interview will be available very soon indeed for anyone that's missed anything. I'm going to be handing over to Speedy and Maximus, who will be filling in for Octel and Hordak tonight. Thank you for listening. It's good night from Total Biscuit. It's good night from the Murloc. Enjoy. You've been listening to the podcast and archive of Blue Please, one of World of Warcraft's longest-running podcasts and shows. You can check out all of the shows at WCRadio.com. Be sure to dig us at dig.com if you like what we're doing, and rate us on iTunes. You can, in fact, download all of our other shows at WCRadio.com. Click the downloads button at the top of the screen, and feel free to get involved in our forum community, also available on our website. Thank you for listening.